It's a long way to the top. If you want to rock and roll, you want to rock and roll? Riding on the highway, going to a show. Stopping on the byway, playing rock and roll. Getting round, getting stoned, getting beat up, getting a bone, getting high, getting shook. Watch all your bones, it's harder than it looks. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll. It's easy to do one night stands. Try playing a rock and roll band. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll.
Good evening, race fans. I'm your host, Caden Reif, and welcome back. It's the 2006 season of the NASCAR Coca-Cola Cup Series, race number 24. As we conclude the second third of the season, it's Bristol, the Sharpie 500, as we get set under the lights here in Tennessee for your 24th race of the season. A bit of short track chaos here tonight as we take you to the racetrack for your starting lineup in tonight's race. Starting on pole, it'll be Casey Kane in the 38 car, joined by Clint Boyer in the 4. A fantastic qualifying out of that 4 car, starting on the front row here tonight. Starting in P3, it'll be Jason Keller in the 99, Robbie Gordon in 4th place, and Casey Atwood in 5th. Greg Biffle will be in the 6th position, followed by Tony Stewart in 7th, side-by-side with his teammate Kurt Busch in 8th. 9th will be John Andretti, and Jack Sprague in the 10th position. 11th, Carl Edwards. Jimmy McMurray will be in 12th, Jimmy Johnson P13, and Matt Kenseth in the 14th position. 15th goes to Regan Smith. Brian Vickers will be in the 16th spot, and Bobby Labonte in 17th. 18th, John Wood in the 6th. 19th place will be Kevin Harvick in the 20, with Ricky Hendrick in the 20th position. 21st, Elliott Sadler. Jason Leffel will be in the 22nd spot. 23rd, Ricky Rudd, and 24th will be Ryan Newman in the 12. Scott Riggs, P25. Jeff Gordon will be in the 26th position, 27th belonging to Todd Bodine, and 28th, Johnny Sauter. 29th, Scott Wimmer in the 23 car. Dale Earnhardt Jr. will be in 30th. DJ Kennington starts from 31st, and Jeremy Mayfield in 32nd. Mark Martin, P33. 34th goes to Ricky Craven. Sterling Marlin, P35, and Kyle Busch in the 36th position. 37th, Eric Norris. Christian Elder will start in 38th. 39th will be TJ Bell. 40th, Jeff Green, and rounding out the field in tonight's race, it'll be Martin Truex Jr. and Stanton Barrett. 150 laps here tonight. It's going to be a chaos bowl for sure, but we take you to the racetrack for the command, most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines!
Field roars to life as all 42 cars are up and ready to go. Short pace lap here. But of course, Bristol, a chaos bowl. We saw a lot of wrecks in the Busch race. Expecting to see the same in this Cup one. It's a difficult racetrack to stay clean at. There's not a lot of room to work with, and such high speeds at a track this small.
Yeah, the drivers have compared this to like flushing a toilet almost. Like the toilet bowl, as the water goes down, you're just kind of waiting to get stopped up. And because of that, you're going to see a lot of guys try to take care of their stuff but there's just not a whole lot of room. So if you get caught up in an accident, there could be 10 to 15 cars piling in very, very quickly. So you have to make sure that you take care of your stuff, but you also take the moves at the right time because it can be difficult to pass here.
Without a question, and it's going to be a matter of attrition. Green flag here at Bristol. We're underway for the Sharpie 500. Casey Kane takes the lead on the opening lap. One thing we'll see a lot of in the opening laps of this race, a lot of 3 wide. We saw that in the Bristol race in the Busch Series as we headed into this weekend, seeing a lot of it here today. Drivers have had a better time working side by side in this weekend than they have before. We saw a lot of it in practice, and this racetrack has started to age just a little bit. We've seen this surface get old. There's a reason that people are all over the place and going 3 wide. We saw 4 wide there. Ricky Rudd in the middle of it.
Yeah, and you don't want to rely on going 4 wide very often, if at all. They're very lucky that they did not hook each other right there because that is not easy to do at a racetrack this small.
We saw Matt Kenseth in the 17 falling backwards throughout the field. Guys getting stuck up on the top, losing a lot of positions to open this race. Side by side for second, it's between Jason Keller and Casey Atwood, the 2 Childress cars on the bottom, as a 99 and 4 trying to hold position in this top 5. But Atwood moves in front of the 99 into second. Kane running away with the lead right now.
Casey Atwood, we talked to him before this race because it was a heartbreaker in Pocono. He was out front entering the final corner and just got absolutely dive bombed up the inside. It was a beautiful move from Harvick. But we talked to Casey and he said he's hungrier than ever. And he's so driven right now because the speed has been there and he knows that he can take it to victory lane if he just has the opportunity to get up front. And he keeps running up here, and I think we have seen a more driven, a more powerful Casey Atwood than earlier this season.
Absolutely, he has looked no better in his entire career than he has this summer. He runs second to the 38 at the moment. His teammate Robbie Gordon up in front of the championship battle right now. He sits in 4th place, looking to gain more points on that 48, who has entered into the top 10 since the start of this race. A good start for Johnson, winner of the spring race here at this racetrack, and has begun to pick up positions. He battles with Tony Stewart for 7th right now. Robbie Gordon enters this race just over 30 points behind that 48. It's been such a tight battle between these two for the championship all year long, and today looking no different once again, but there's still a lot of racing left, and the caution flag has come out, and we see Matt Kenseth turned around in turn 1.
Fire, but the damage is already done. That thing is killed. And he was pretty confident for this race. He had a good qualifying session. He really struggled to qualify recently, but as we started to see him slip back through the field, that confidence went away, and now his day is over.
And we see Kenseth with a lot of damage. His teammate John Wood involved in it as well. Looks like it was contact from Scott Riggs in the 57 here. It's looking like Riggs just misjudged it into turn 1. Kenseth trying to give space to McMurray and just got hooked for it. And nowhere for Mark Martin or John Wood to go.
And that is a harder hit than it looks like. They're going a lot faster around here than you may want to think at a short track like this, but that is a very tough angle.
Absolutely took a big hit to that safer barrier. A couple of Fords involved in it along with him. We saw the 28 and 6, Yates and Roush teammate of Kenseth in the 6 involved in that one. Under caution here for the first time at Bristol, made it 10 laps. Under lap number 11, we'll see some pit stops here as Casey Kane in the lead of the field. See if anybody comes in here early. Expecting at least a few. Going to be a question of how many we see down pit road here. And we saw those early cautions, split up strategy at Bristol in the Busch Series. And we will see all the race leaders coming in here, although looking like Clint Boyer might be one to stay out, and he will. So the 4 car is going to remain on the racetrack to take the race lead, but Kane will lead the majority of the field down pit road here on lap number 12.
And Casey looked really good there at the start of the race. He pulled away and he pulled a gap. He was the only driver to pull the gap from anybody, pretty much. And as he got out front, the other Casey started tracking him down. So we could see the Casey and Casey show here if we're so treated to it. But we'll see, because there's a whole lot of race left.
Absolutely. Longest race, tied for the longest race on the calendar by laps, as Kane will lead himself and Atwood in. A couple of drivers stay out. See the 483, 23.5, and 77 all out on the racetrack. But Casey Kane in for tires, and the leaders into their pit boxes here. And we will see 4 tire stops and some 2 tire stops. Saw Jimmy Johnson take 2 tires, as did the 20, Robbie Gordon on 4. But Johnson will win the race off of pit road. And we see the field shake up here.
Yet again, you see the title guys doing something different than each other. They've done it all season long because you can't just rely on mistakes all the time. You have to try to take things for yourself. And generally, it's been the 31 team trying to go against the grain, but right now, Jimmy Johnson with a different strategy call. We'll see how it works out for him.
Without a question, we see this field get shaked up big time on pit road as a lot of drivers fell way back. Casey Kane lost a ton of positions on the pit lane, as did Robbie Gordon. These guys are a long way down the order thanks to the pit stop, so we'll take you to intermission here from Bristol. Race leader, now Clint Moyer in the 4. The rookie will be starting in first as we take you to this intermission break. We'll be right back here from the Sharpie 500. Back from intermission as we get set to go here on lap number 16 on the restart. It's lap 15 at the moment, but we'll be taking lap number 16. Clint Moyer in the 4 will be your race leader after staying out under that yellow flag. About 12 or so stayed on the racetrack, and it was exactly 12. Back to Jeff Green. Top 5 goes 483, 23.5, and 77. Todd Bodine backs up the top 5 in that 77 car. Always familiar to running up front here. So early caution shakes the field up on that pit cycle. We saw some guys drop a long way back in the pits. Kane and Robbie Gordon a long way behind. They're going to have a lot of traffic to navigate through after this pit cycle, but the pace car will peel off in turn 4 here. Clint Boyer to lead the field to the green flag. Lap number 16 for the McClure driver. And we are back underway here from Bristol. A great jump for the 4.
Yeah, and we'll see how the rookie is able to cope with the pressure of being in the lead. I might be mistaken, but I think these are the first laps that Clint Boyer has led in his very short Cup career up to this point. So we'll see how he's able to handle it. As right now, look at clean and green up front.
Had a fantastic start. Started this race from second position. It was a fantastic qualifying for him. Seen so much strength out of that 4 team in the middle portion of this season compared to years prior. And they've ran really well as of late, and Boyer leading laps for them under green flag, no less. Got a formidable opponent in second. Elliott Sadler trying to track him down, make a pass for this lead.
And we've seen Sadler a lot this season. He has really made a name for himself, but hasn't really been racing for the lead much this season. That might change right here, though. He is all over the bumper of Clint Boyer.
Yeah, it's been a fight to try and find laps led for that 83 car. Top 10s and 5s have come. Just hasn't been in the mix for first, but changing that up here after staying out under that yellow flag. Got the track position, working out beautifully for him. Just trying to find a way around that 4. Hasn't been able to do it yet. Looking back down the rest of the mixes, we see a lot of drivers side by side. Jimmy Johnson trying to work his way through. Meanwhile, further back down the order, the drivers who lost a lot of time in the pits, Kane, Robbie Gordon, all trying to make up spots outside the top 30 right now, but the focus is for the lead at the moment. 483 still bumper to bumper and single file through this top 5 or 6. Kyle Busch has picked up a ton of time since the drop of the green flag. Has moved up to 7th. I'd like to see exactly where he restarted. I lost track of that. Was in 8th. And left the 49 car. That was TJ Bell who stayed out in that BAM Racing machine in the dust and has certainly caught up to all these leaders, but it's been a bit of a struggle to make passes on the racetrack so far, at least after the restarts get by. Not impossible, but definitely difficult, and we're seeing it right now. It's just a matter of having enough time to stay close. The laps are so inconsistent. It's so hard to hit your marks on the track that's so fast yet so small. So these guys really struggle to try and just hit your lines. You gotta hit them lap after lap. And to stay so close to the driver in front of you is much more of a challenge than it sounds. So setting up a pass is really difficult at this racetrack.
It is, and you see Elliott Sadler trying to counteract the dirty air that you can get at this racetrack. Looks like Brian Vickers is the cause.
So back under yellow flag again as Clint Boyer leads the field back to the caution. Yellow flag flies for Vickers. Another crash in turn 1, and we see Robbie Gordon was involved in it. And same story with the 57, got turned into the outside wall, and that is bad news for Robbie Gordon, who's got a lot of damage on the right side of his race car now.
Bad news for him and bad news for Jason Keller, who had a really, really good starting spot. He had a chance at this thing. He actually got ahead of Casey Kane, who was the net leader at one point.
Absolutely, and we saw that a hard hit got pinched into the wall, and we saw it was probably that 3 wide. You know, the 18 went underneath the 21. That was Labonte underneath Andretti, and Vickers had to check up for it. Don't believe the 31 was anticipating that at all, and got right into his right rear. We've seen a lot of that this weekend. It just continues. It's so difficult to stay off at this racetrack, so that brings out another caution, and it is bad news for one of your championship leaders. But we will see more pit stops here, as many drivers will bring it down pit lane a second time, and more will stay out to take the lead. Clint Boyer leads the majority of the field down for yet another pit cycle. And staying out to take the lead, 81 of DJ Kennington will stay out and take first place. But Boyer leading the field down pit road here, lap number 27, taking lap 28 at the line there.
Been a tale of the rookies today. We saw Boyer leading laps up front, and now we see DJ Kennington getting up front. Now, Kennington does have a win. He did win at Kansas, but as fast as he has been, the fortune has not really followed him. He's had a lot of incidents outside of his control, and the speed's been there, but he's just struggled to put it all together yet. Now, I have no doubt that he has all the talent in the world to do so, but this is going to be good for him. You want to get laps led up front so you have that experience in a car that is very, very capable of doing great things.
Without a question. So Kennington stays out to take first. We'll be right back here from Bristol, 81 in P1. Back from intermission. My goodness. Back from intermission here as we get set to go under green flag here. It'll be lap number 31 for Kennington, who stays out to take the lead. It'll be Newman, Stewart, Norris, and Rudd, your top 5. Of course, we see this racetrack's pit stops continue to just cycle the field all sorts of different ways. A lot of interesting drivers up front. And Robbie Gordon, despite the damage in the 31 car, he stayed out under that caution, so really gambling with it. He's got a lot of damage on the right side. Front end seems okay, but a pancake on that end. Jimmy Johnson lost a lot of spots in the pits. He'll be in 35th position to restart here. But the story's Kennington in first, heading into turn 4 to take the restart here.
We'll see how Kennington handles a swarming pack of cars behind him. I mean, he has been absolutely fantastic this season, and yet again, another good jump from the leader. We've seen it all race where the leader just gets away well. And
it's what you want.
You know, not a good qualifying for Kennington, but now that he's up front, we'll see what kind of speed he has in clean air. As Ryan Newman gives chase, Boyer down pit road again.
Tough break for Boyer. I believe he just got black flag for passing before the line. We've seen some of that in this race weekend, and yes, that would be correct. He went right under the 6, and that's a tough break for him. It'll drop him a lap down or two as he takes a run down pit road.
As you look further throughout the field, you have some surprising names up here in the top 5. Eric Norris, Ricky Rudd, both sitting in the top 5 right now. Another good run for Eric Norris, who had that standout run at Watkins Glen, was in the top 10 for a significant portion of the race. Now sitting in the 4th position, albeit from pit stops, but really starting to turn some heads recently. He's been having a good summer stretch of this season.
Absolutely, been making a name for himself in that 51 car, and there is no driver in this grid that doesn't like this guy. He is an absolute treat to have in the garage. We see a battle for 5th behind him. That's John Andretti getting underneath, who was really close to winning the spring race at this racetrack and had such a fast race car until the later portions of that race, dropped the lead late, got wrecked, had a chance at the top 10 at least even after losing the lead, but got into an incident. That was with Mike Bliss, ex-driver of the 81. It was such a tough break. We saw heartbreak for that 21 car who seemed so quick that weekend, and doing some more of the same here. Seems like that 21 team's got a good Bristol setup, and they are running fantastic in the middle portion of this race as well. In the top 5 right now. DJ Kennington, meanwhile, absolutely checked out in front of Newman in 2nd place.
See it from the Wood brothers fairly consistently here at Bristol. This is probably their best racetrack. We've seen some other guys at the Wood brothers have some success here. Notably, Elliott Sadler won the 2001 race here, which John Andretti finished 2nd in. So this is a track that the Wood brothers are very, very accustomed to.
Have an incident replay here. This was a 697 and 5. Looks like Ricky Hendrick got into the 6, and these guys all went in the wall. The caution didn't come out for this. At least not yet, but it looks like Wood went down onto the apron, so this will go green as Wood makes it back and will head into the pits. Interesting that that doesn't result in a caution, but Wood heavily damaged and heads down pit road. 97 and 5 were also a part of that, and Edwards will now pit for repairs. Ricky Hendrick was the one who initiated it. He got into the back of the 6 there.
I could be wrong, but I believe that was John Wood's 2nd incident of the day. He was involved in the Matt Kenseth wreck earlier in the race.
Correct, yes.
So, tough break for John Wood, who actually had a pretty decent start to the race. He was up in the top 15, doing a good job, and it's completely killed now.
Yeah, without a question. Roush has had a real rough go-around in this race. We see the 97, 17, and 6 all involved in incidents in this race, and none of them really caused it, so it's just a tough break for them. Ricky Hendrick soldiering on despite the damage. We see him and Clint Boyer pretty close on the racetrack, just in front of the leader, DJ Kennington, who will be approaching his first lap traffic here pretty soon. Also saw the 44 of Vickers on pit road. Not sure if he was involved in this one at all. I believe he got past that crash, but not sure if he got involved in an incident somewhere. No, looking like he was just going to get repairs because he did have some damage on the right side of his race car. So headed down pit road for some repairs there. Robbie Gordon still holding his own in the 14th position right now, not doing too terribly bad despite the damage to the right side of his car. Jimmy Johnson has gone nowhere since the restart. He's in 30th. So working out for that 31 at the moment.
Albeit kind of unconventionally, but it is working.
Whatever works at this stage in the championship. You got races running out. You're only going to have 12 races left after this one, and he's making it work for sure. about good 15 positions in front of his championship rival. As right now, Kennington still coming up on these lap cars. We see the 44 and 97 with long pit stops for repairs, well over a minute in those pit boxes for those guys, as Kennington tried to get underneath the 5 who threw a block trying to get around the lap car of Matt Kenseth in the 17 who is very heavily damaged. And we see Kennington get to work on the traffic.
Looks like he is going to get underneath Ricky Hendrick here. No block that time. And it's going to clear, so Kennington now puts 2 lap cars in between him and the next car, Ryan Newman, who was able to close up from that.
Just those little bit counts. Lap traffic is always so important at this racetrack, and it's been a struggle here and there for some drivers to get through the lap traffic, but it takes some veteran skill to do it at a racetrack as small as this and a racetrack as erratic as this. So we see these guys, it's a real test of your skill, and Kennington off to a fairly good start, but got a lot of traffic in the way here as he's working on John Wood, who will jump out of line to move for the 81. At least for the moment, although Kennington not a great exit there, but does stay underneath him and gets past another lap car. Newman passed 17 of Kenseth, who is going to be called off the racetrack this next time by. That thing is very damaged.
You know, we talk about it with the title guys, where, you know, we are coming into the closing stretch of the season, and after this race, a lot of the time, this is the turning point in the season where you start to see guys really start to lock in. They really look at their championship aspirations and say, if there's a go time, it's right now. And we see Robbie Gordon, despite the damage, staying out, proving just that if he is going to gain points, it has to be right now. There's time is running out, and he has to make sure that he can do all he can, even despite ill-handling race car.
Absolutely, without a question. And he hasn't lost it too much time on the racetrack. In fact, he gained a position a couple laps ago. He's in 13th now, so working out for him right now. Johnson has moved up to 24th, though, so the 48's picking up spots. And, of course, also worth mentioning, the 01 car, Kurt Busch, who has been an outside contender of this championship fight, is just a couple spots behind the 48 right now. Haven't talked about him up until this point just because we're talking about the championship standings, but is doing his best to try and make things up. Has a fairly clean race car right now, just hasn't played the track position game too terribly well today, trying to recover from that at the moment. But we just see a lot of it, and this, as you mentioned, it's the final third of the season after this week. This is where you turn it up. This is where the best drivers in the garage will turn up the heat. They'll show up when it matters. You'll see these guys really get into crunch time, and every race is going to matter from this point forwards. You talk about the championship early, we talk about it as early as race 10 in this booth, but this is where it counts for these guys in this championship hunt.
And, you know, we were just talking about Kurt Busch, and he is an outside contender, but I would argue recently he has been as good as anybody. The early inconsistencies to start the season are really what cost him, but recently he has arguably been the best driver in the garage. He has been so fast. We saw it at Indy where he won the race, Pocono where he very nearly won the race. He has been bad fast. If there's anybody who can close up that gap and have a hot streak to end this season, it would be Kurt Busch.
He's been so close to a championship berth so many different times, you gotta imagine he's hungry for one. And that 01 car is absolutely looking to try and build up after his start to this race. He is just a single position behind the points leader, Jimmy Johnson. But the caution is gonna come out as Jeff Gordon wrecking right in front of the 48 and 01, and somehow they both missed it.
Jimmy Johnson was probably 3 inches from having his nose killed right there. He gets through it.
And they're wrecking again as John Wood gets turned around in turn 1 as well.
But a heart-stopper moment for the 48, the 48 fans in the stands. I mean, that was probably as close as it gets.
Goodness gracious, what an avoidance by him and Kurt Busch. I believe Johnson, in fact, brushed the car he was trying to get around. Kane also got involved in that one. So tough break for the 38, who was in the top 5. In fact, he got hit by John Wood in the 6.
John Wood just kind of drove into his corner panel there, was trying to get behind him, and just completely misjudged it.
And get a look at what started this. This was Kevin Harvick, and my goodness, Jeff Gordon up into the air. Yes, and Johnson did get a piece of it. The 48 does have some damage on that right front after that.
Golly, that's about as hard as you can hit at Bristol. gosh, that is a major, major impact right where the crossover gate is. Lucky that didn't tear his car apart.
Absolutely. We saw Gordon. He got into the 20 there, kind of cut Harvick off, and Harvick doesn't look like he took too kindly to it, and Gordon couldn't get away from him, and my goodness, what an impact there, as it was Truex in the 8 who got underneath him when he was already in the air, so lifted him up, almost went over, and the 00, that was Jason Leffler also getting a piece of that, and Johnson just got a tiny piece, and my goodness, Kurt Busch had to bring it to a complete stop to not hit that 00 car. Tight margins for these two. Johnson,
somehow the plot thickens and they make it through.
Johnson did get a piece of damage, so we'll see how that affects him. So both him and the 38 damage there. And Kane also involved in a crash. Separate from that, we saw John Wood get straight into him, and that is a tough break for the 38, who is so fast today.
Yeah, he had a car capable of winning this race.
And the saga between him and Roush continues. We've seen these guys get angry at each other before, and looking like it's continued.
Yeah, there's something going on there at Roush. I think just like the frustrations of not running well.
Absolutely. And we also saw that incident early that involved Mark Martin as well as a couple of the Roush guys. Obviously, this was no doing of either of them getting into each other. It was Mark Martin who ran into the wreck, as did John Wood, the 17. And he had gotten hit by the 57. And worth noting, the 57 is a PPC entry, and that entry is in cohorts with Roush. So just a lot of politics in this race for sure. We've seen so much of it. But we see the leaders come down pit road here. Number 99 of Keller, I believe, is going to be the lucky dog here. But the leaders down pit road will be interesting to see who comes out in first.
Really just going to be a matter of who gets held up the least. We've seen it a lot today where guys get held up on the exit of the pits.
Absolutely. I believe Kennington got away well in his pit stop, and obviously this is also a chance for Robbie Gordon and Jimmy Johnson to get their repairs. Kennington with some damage on the front of his race car, though. Didn't see that. Believe it was at the caution flag. Yeah, this huge stack up here in turn 3 because everybody was trying to avoid all the incidents. So Kennington has damage on the front of his car. So this race, just tell you what, this plot just continues to get thicker and thicker. So much has happened in it. But we will take you to intermission here from Bristol with, I believe, Kennington in first, but we'll find out when we come to the restart. Lap number 65 at the moment. Back from intermission as we get set to go green once again here from Bristol. It is coming up on halfway pretty soon, not quite there yet, but DJ Kennington has some front end damage, but he'll be the leader on the restart. That'll go Newman, Stewart, Norris, and Wimmer, your top 5. Robbie Gordon caught a tough break, was held up a long time in pit road there. He's lapped now, and Jimmy Johnson is not. He'll start in 22nd, a bit of a ways up the road as we get set to go green here. Be lap number 69 for Kennington's lap car. Kurt Busch also in the mix right there behind the leader. Pace car will peel off, and we get set to roll. Kennington first, and we are back green here from Bristol.
Away quite as well as he did earlier on the other restart. So this could be the damage starting to show itself as he's going to try to cut off Kurt Busch there. Couldn't quite get it, or couldn't quite do it. Is going to exit well, though, and get back in front. So
trying to hold everybody off here. Kurt Busch would like to do his teammate Stewart a favor here.
How about Eric Norris back in the top 5?
Saw quite a couple cars down pit road for more black flags for restart violations there. The 4 was one of them again. 55 as well.
That is unfortunate for Clint Boyer because he started second. He led some laps in this race. Looked like that car had quite a bit of speed and just wasn't meant to be.
Absolutely. See Busch fighting for his lap back here against the leader Kennington, who these two have started to pull away a little bit. Norris fighting with Newman here for position. This is for third on the racetrack between this 51 and 12. Couldn't stay there, but a nice fight out of this 51 car.
And as we said earlier, everybody likes this guy. Eric Norris is just somebody who is such a pleasure to have on the garage. Goodness gracious, they had to split Stanton Barrett there.
Yeah, that was the 95.
As he merged onto the racetrack. He had merged somewhat poorly right in front of the leaders. And
not really anywhere he could have gone. He kept it as low as he could, but they had to split him 3 wide, so Busch gets around the 81, opens the door for Stewart to chase a leader. Eric Norris benefits from it, and the caution flag comes out again. Atwood, Kane, 26. We got a car upside down. That is Johnny Sauter. And
Sauter rests on his roof.
Goodness gracious.
Oh,
my goodness. It's like the 26, and man, he just got straight into the wall. And my goodness, and got drilled by the 30 of Atwood. That was a terrible crash.
That is absolutely sickening, especially considering what Johnny Sauter has had to go through recently. You just hold your breath. That is absolutely heartbreaking.
Goodness gracious. Hard crash. Robbie Gordon just got through it. Jeff Gordon is up on top of the 24 there. Goodness me. Hard crash. Edwards in it as well. So yet another caution flag comes out. That is a hard crash here just at the halfway mark of this race.
And you just hate to see it because, as we said, Johnny Sauter was returning from injury, midway through this season at Charlotte, I believe, is when he came back. He had a terrible crash at Homestead, comes back, and that is another terrible accident. Absolutely. So we certainly hope he's okay.
Have some pit stops here. DJ Kennington will take the field down pit road. Couple staying out, notably Stewart, who will stick on the racetrack to take the lead. Stanton Barrett will be your lucky dog in the 95 machine after that pit stop, I believe. Actually, is he only one down? No, that would be incorrect. I believe it'll be the 5 of Ricky Hendrick, providing he was... Actually, no, Robbie Gordon. Providing he was not involved in that crash, which I do not believe he got a piece of it. And he got around it just about, got tapped, but I believe NASCAR will give him that one. So Robbie Gordon will be back on the lead lap. Tony Stewart taking the lead here. And we see Kennington down pit road, maybe get some repairs on the front end of that race car. He wasn't doing too bad on that run there, held the lead, but would like to get it ironed out with the damage on the front of that car. And he leaves the pit road. In fact, I believe he didn't even lose the lead given the pit speed. That's an odd situation there. But take an intermission, get that sorted out here from Bristol. Back from intermission here from Bristol as we get set to roll once more. Tony Stewart will take the lead as all the cars who pit will be dropped to the end. So Kennington dropped a bit of a ways back, but didn't lose a whole lot of positions. This is a lot of lap cars in the mix here between these guys in the top 10. Jimmy Johnson has climbed a long way up. He's up to 6th. Lucky Dog went to Robbie Gordon, and he will be back in the lead lap. That benefits him a lot. Pace car will be peeling off here. 5 of Ricky Hendrick also blowing up coming to the start. See if he makes it back to the pit lane. Field is taking the green at the moment. Pace car in. Stewart, the leader. Junior, Green, Sadler, and Biffle, your interesting group as we are underway. Big jump by the 4. Didn't get a restart violation that time. Didn't pass anybody. Got past a bunch of cars there. Hendrick will make it back to the pits. Junior trying to get underneath the 95 of Barrett and have first dibs at the lead here. Stewart had a good start, got away, but Junior clear into second place. Jeff Green fighting with the 95, trying to get clear. He sits in 3rd. Although Sadler's going to fight him for that position.
Interesting to note for Jeff Green, his future is secure. He signed a multi-year contract with that Hall of Fame racing team, so his future is in good hands.
Oh my goodness, got into the 83 there though, trying to take it 3 wide up the middle.
Very nearly a heavy crash in turn 1.
Managed to find the gap for it, got past the 95, but loses out on trying to fight the 83. Might even clear Biffle on the top here. Although he gets hit by the 16 as Biffle trying to go for a bit of a dive bomb.
Yeah, Biffle went for a dive bomb because Jimmy Johnson went for a dive bomb on him. He was trying to defend from Johnson, and I don't think he even realized the 96 was coming down on him.
Kane down pit road again. Don't believe he was hurt at all from another wreck. Doesn't appear that way. Stewart, Junior, Sadler, Biffle, and then Johnson, your top 5. Check back on the 31, who is trying to pick up positions. He's got a couple since the start of the race. Has just moved back into the top 20 since that last restart. Getting around Sterling Marlin for that position. Doing what he can right now. Laps are winding down. We're approaching the final third. Goodness, more contact. That was Kennington getting hit by the 55. And door-to-door contact by Elder and Sprague. And the 99 of Keller went into the wall there. Everybody gets around him. Was up top of 3 wide and got into the fence. Kept it out of harm's way. Lap car of Kane.
Look more towards the front. Tony Stewart up here, but Dale Jr. not going away. Dale Jr. has had an agonizing wait to try and get another victory. Has not came yet. It has been since Richmond of 02, I believe, since his last win.
Talladega race 9 of that season.
Talladega of 02. So it's been a very long time for Dale Jr. He has waited and has came tantalizingly close. And he's struggling to pass his Yates teammate right now, who really isn't
Gonna give him a bit of a bumper.
Yeah, really wasn't making much of an effort to get out of the way. I think he's frustrated right now with the way his race has gone. But, you know, Junior has came tantalizingly close on many occasions, has not sealed the deal in a very long time. He is as hungry as ever right now.
Got a couple of drivers hungry to win their first race of this 2006 season right behind Stewart, who pulled away thanks to the 38. Greg Biffle gets around Kane here. And Kane will harmlessly fall in behind the 16. Was paying attention to it given the rivalry between him and Roush that we have seen. Another lap car that is one of the damaged Yates cars up the road. That's Mark Martin in the 28 up in front of the 42. Now, Junior seems a little quicker than this 42, so does the 83. Both of these guys are just a touch faster than that Dodge right now. They might have a shot at this lead. There's still over 50 laps left in this race. But
It looks like the 83's faster than both of them.
absolutely.
And we said it earlier in the broadcast, Elliott Sadler has had tons of top 10 speed, a little bit of top 5 speed, but hasn't really had winning speed this season. And today, that car looks as good as ever. He has the speed to win this race if he can get to the lead. This is the speed he's been waiting for, and if he can take advantage, it would just prove what we have been saying about him all season, how he's overperforming his equipment and he's making it look easy out there.
Absolutely, and not only that, but you mentioned earlier when we were talking about the Wood brothers, Elliott Sadler with a win for that team at this racetrack in 2001. That's the last time Elliott Sadler won a cup race. It's been a long time since that driver of the 83 has been to victory lane, and he would love it to do it at this very racetrack. It would mean a lot to him, I'm sure, and he has the speed to do it right now, trying to contend with a lap car of Martin and gets underneath him and going into turn 3. Junior made fairly quick work of the 28 there as well. Biffle in the 16, also right behind, has not won in quite a long time, and he looks faster than all 3 of these guys as well. It's a matter of these guys being in reverse order of pace at the moment with how quick the 16, 83, and 88 seem, and every single one of them might have a chance at this win here. 50 laps to go here from Bristol.
The field starts to spread out more and more. They might need a caution to bunch themselves back together because we've seen it is hard to pass cars similar in speed to you. So we'll see if they can get bunched back together, but Dale Jr. definitely not letting Tony Stewart get away, trying to reel him back in here.
Yeah, we've seen the 42 car get through lap traffic a lot better than the 88 those last couple times. Both teammates of the 88s too, which is the confusing part, but the moment Junior gets past those lap cars, he has been so much faster. We got a crash. And not entirely sure who it was. Gonna get a look back at this as we saw big time smoke there off of turn 2. I believe it was right in front of Robbie Gordon, and it was the 0 car of Christian Elder looking like contact with Regan Smith. Similar fashion to Jeff Gordon's accident. The 0 really just cut the 2 off, and Regan gets cut down. Elder couldn't save it. And that one is going to result in a yellow flag. So caution
for Elder, his car stayed on the ground.
Caution will come out, and yeah, nobody to hit that 0 car, so yellow flag flies. As Stewart will take this yellow flag, as you mentioned, needed a caution. And all the guys who are lapped are 2 or more laps down. I believe the Lucky Dog will go to the 43. And that is correct. So caution flies. And Kyle Busch in the 43 car will be your Lucky Dog. See a bit of stack up on the backstretch as everybody gets behind the pacing queue. And we will see pit stops again. Stewart and Jr. will head down pit road, though Elliott Sadler will stay out and take the lead. Jimmy Johnson will head down pit road here. See if the 31 elects to stay out or not. And the answer is going to be no. He has a little bit of front end, back end damage on that car, so I believe he'd like to get some more repairs on his machine. Dale Jr. into the pits, as well as the 42 of Tony Stewart, who has his pit box on the other end of the pit lane. And he will head in for 4 and fuel here.
At 42 of Stewart, we've seen the speed today. This season, it's been a tale of having a lot of speed, but not really having the results to show for the speed. Now, he's been pretty consistent, but the winning speed hasn't really been there as much as it's been there, at least for his teammate Kurt Busch. So, it's proved to be a successful move, but for Stewart, he's used to winning, 5, 6 races a season. And this hasn't been that this season. He's a little frustrated, but overall, excited for the future.
Absolutely, and it's always really a challenge to get acclimatized with a new team, and he's done very well. He's won a race for that team, has done what he can in a new organization, and I think the sights are definitely set on 2007 for that organization for sure, especially in the case of the 42 car, but he's definitely proven himself that he's been able to perform with a new team. It's just you got to get acclimatized, and that's always a challenge with a new team, and especially for the 42 car that didn't exist prior to this year. So it's a challenge in more ways than one, and there's a reason that he's had to try and find his footing a little bit, but so far worked out for him, just having to try and find that winning speed again for sure.
It's always hard when a team opens a new car because, for a team like Ganassi, who is one of the top teams in the garage area, they can make it work, but you start to spread your resources thinner because there's just less to go, or there's less to go around because there's more teams. And
Absolutely.
Because of that, you get your you put some of your best personnel on each car, and for a part of the season, it hurts everybody, usually at the start, because you're trying to get used to spreading your resources thinner and having less experience overall. But as the season goes on and people start to get more comfortable, you see the speed start to pick up, and I think that's what started to happen here.
Absolutely, and even still, Tony Stewart has had a pretty good season up to this point. It's been good for him. Not the title defense they had been hoping for, but he had definitely put together a very solid season. We'll be going green this next time by. Elliott Sadler obviously stayed out and took the race lead. Didn't even have to go to intermission on this caution. And it will be Biffle in second place. Third, bit of a ways back, belongs to Newman in the 12. Fourth is going to be Kennington, who has climbed his way back up a little bit. And Kurt Busch in the 01, as we were just talking about. He's in that 5th spot. So top 5 a little spread out thanks to all of these lap cars. There are so many of them, thanks to all the incidents that we've had in this race. Splits these guys up, but the 2 leaders of Sadler and Biffle are definitely going to be very close here and have it all to themselves up front right now.
It's Sadler. This is the chance that he's been looking for all season long. The speed finally there to grab a win, grab a checkered flag at arguably his best racetrack. We'll see what he can do here. We'll see if Red Bull can grab their first win as an organization.
Without a question. Pace car in, Sadler to the green as the top 2 get away very nicely. Boyer with a pretty good start. Trying to hang with this top group, maybe get a lap back. Field bunches up behind. Everybody all over the place. Kennington trying to make quick headway for third. Got underneath the 12, who's kind of sandwiched in behind Kane. So Kennington back to third. Kurt Busch looking to take 4th place.
Busch takes a peek. Very nearly some contact there, but is going to get underneath him. Newman with the drive off. We'll see if he tries to cut that down in front. He does not. So Kurt Busch gonna get another spot gain here.
12 of Newman got in front of Harvick for 5th. So he blocks in. Kennington trapped on the outside now. That opens the door for Kurt Busch to get to the bottom. So he now moves into 3rd. Meanwhile, Sadler running right away with the race lead, and Kane blowing up in front of everybody now, and that is going to bring out another caution flag. Huge stack up.
I think for Casey Kane, his day mercifully
Oh, they're
comes
gonna
to an
wreck!
end. Oh, very hard wreck.
Junior got a piece of it. Johnson and Gordon got around it. And that was a product of what happened to Kane blowing up in front of the field. We see the leaders come up on all these guys who were so far behind thanks to the stack up. So get a replay of that. As we saw the incident there in turn 1. That was 3 wide. It was Jeff Green on the bottom. And Riggs on the top. Didn't really give a whole lot of room, and the 99 got squeezed down. So those were 2 Alliance teammates, the 99 and 57. And up into the air went Riggs, got into the window of the 23. That is the passenger side window, but nonetheless, Junior got
that
a piece of it
23
as
up
well.
into the air as well. It was such a hard hit.
Absolutely, that is some wonky contact. Kyle Busch involved in this one as well, so I don't believe he'll be getting lucky dog here. Got a pretty big piece of it. Definitely wouldn't be the 99. I believe it would be the 95 of Stanton Barrett. So that will go to him, but this caution flag that comes out here, and Sadler heads to the pits. So now the lead goes to Biffle, who stays out. Boyer will be able to wave around as well. He's in front of the leader. So pit stop for Sadler. This race just continues to get wackier. So many weird things always happen at this racetrack. Bristol is such a wild card, and we see this race just continue to get more and more chaotic. So Biffle now the leader. Take you to intermission again here from Bristol, as Greg Biffle in the 16 will be your race leader. Back from intermission here at Bristol's, we get set to roll once again. Greg Biffle in the 16 inherits the lead after staying out. Kurt Busch will be in second. Third place belongs to Kennington. Fourth will be Ryan Newman, and Regan Smith a nice run today. He's in the fifth spot, has managed to survive up to this point. Again, it's just a race of attrition. There are not a lot of cars left in this race. I believe it's sub 30 now, with many of them several laps down. But nonetheless, Greg Biffle will lead the field to the green. We're getting towards the end of this thing now. Approaching 30 to go. It'll be 119 out of 150 on the restart for the 16. Biffle hungry for this win. Kurt Busch with an opportunity to gain more points in this championship hunt, with the 31 and 48 around the 15th spot. Green flag back in the air once again. Great start for the top two, who run right away from everybody. Biffle pulling away that little bit, trying to run away from everybody. Ricky Rudd entering the top 5 if he can get around the 81 of Kennington here. Seeing yet more restart chaos. 33 into 5th. Kurt Busch trying to chase after Greg Biffle for the lead. 30 laps to go here from Bristol in the Sharpie 500.
Just trying to hold on here, and what an opportunity this is for Kurt Busch, with both of the title contenders really struggling. This is a prime opportunity for Kurt Busch.
Absolutely. We see Robbie a bit of a ways back there. Johnson back even further. That's the points leader, just a couple of positions behind that 31. 3 wide behind him. That's Craven. Andretti also in the mix on the bottom. Carl Edwards, who's been in a couple incidents today already, stuck up top. They managed to sort it out. Kennington slipping backwards like a rock. Hasn't been able to find a spot on the bottom lane.
Like he will anytime soon either. They are stacked up down there.
Absolutely. Johnson also still slipping backwards, while Robbie Gordon pulls right on away from the 48. Tony Stewart not having a great run on this restart. He's dropped backwards outside of the top 10 now, as Robbie enters the top 10. Meanwhile, for the lead, Kurt Busch in the 01 P1. Almost contact between Biffle and the lap car Sprague behind. Ryan Newman has entered the mix in the 12. Almost got into Sprague. Here's Harvick to fight for third place.
We saw it last week from Harvick.
Caution's out again. Edwards once more. Goodness gracious.
Carl Edwards, no good, very bad day continues.
Got into it with Stanton Barrett trying to get in front of him. Barrett was up the racetrack. Don't believe Edwards was predicting this, because the 83 was looking like he was going to try to get underneath the 95, and Barrett went up, Edwards went down, and the 97 backs it into the wall again.
Product of this racetrack. We've seen it many times today. It's hard to judge it down in a turn 1 because you start to slide up the racetrack. Since the baking is so steep, it's hard to keep it on the bottom or keep it in the middle or wherever you're at.
Absolutely. So we see another caution come out. And looking like we might have completed our last pit stops, because all the leaders who have been staying out continue to stay out. Kurt Busch will retain the lead. Looking like pretty much everybody's going to still be on the track here, so it could very well be just a mad dash to the finish from this point forward. Lucky dog, Kyle Busch in the 43 will be back on the lead lap. And we will quickly take an intermission here from Bristol. Back from intermission, getting set again here at Bristol. Inside the final 20 laps now. Kurt Busch will start from first place, as it'll be him and Biffle in the front group here. Lap car of Sprague separates them from third place Ryan Newman. Fourth belongs to Harvick, and Ricky Rudd, a nice run late. He's in fifth. We've seen the Pontiacs come alive late in the showing here tonight. But it will be 18 laps to go on the restart for Kurt Busch, who is looking for another win on the season here.
And one where he could very well make some headway towards the points lead. It's going to be a big gap to close, but if anybody can do it, it would be that 01.
Absolutely, and we saw the 48 and the points leader slip back on that start, so this is important as ever. Green flag back underway. Racing towards turn 1 as the top two get away well. Busch better than Biffle. Battling for fourth, Kevin Harvick yielded the bottom to Rudd for a moment. The 33 couldn't stay with him. Robbie Gordon still trying to pick up spots late in the running here. Gets underneath Eric Norris. That's for 7th. Actually, no, excuse me, 8th position, as the 40 got by him as well. Stewart
Norris going to try to get down to the bottom here. Can't quite do it.
Robbie Gordon looking like he's got some speed under him. Caution again. Jimmy Johnson involved in it.
And this time it's hurt pretty badly. He had some minor damage from a wreck earlier in the race, but this time it's killed pretty bad.
That is heavy damage on the 48 car. We saw Stanton buried in it as well. And looking like Johnson got cut off by the 49 there, but really didn't cut him any favors there. It was TJ Bell cutting down in front of him, and Johnson just really drove it into him, I'd say. Wasn't too happy with it. Thought he could get away with it, but just hooked him. And then Barrett, nowhere to go. Hard hit for the 95 car.
Johnson really just followed him into the wall. He chased him all the way up there just to make sure that he got him.
Oh, my goodness.
So some tempers later in this race, and it's important to mention last week at Pocono, he was called to the hauler and told to cut it out. So we'll see what NASCAR decides to do with that, but Jimmy Johnson already on a thin leash.
So that brings out another caution. We'll take you back to intermission. Inside 15 to go now. Kurt Busch in the 01 is your race leader. We'll be right back here from Bristol. Back from intermission here at Bristol, and an interesting development there with the 48. Got parked after that incident, so don't believe NASCAR is very happy with him at all. Yet another incident for the 48, so he is taken out of this race. Big for the 01, big for the 31. These two guys are going to lick their chops over that. Huge points for them, especially with Kurt Busch leading this race late. It'll be 10 laps to go on the restart for the 01 of Kurt Busch. And as we get set to roll, he looks set to try and grab his 4th win of the season and close right into the crux of this championship fight. Pace car peels in. 10 laps to go for Kurt Busch and Greg Biffle, who are going to duke it out for this win late. And we are back green once again here from Bristol.
Again, Kurt gets away well.
Biffle not too far off of his tail. Everybody else clean in the back as we get set to roll. Racing hard here. Biffle trying to close up, but Kurt Busch is positively running away. Robbie Gordon has a couple chances at some more positions in front of him as well.
Robbie doing a nice job of damage control here because that car is pretty beat up.
Oh, got hit by the 18 of Bobby Labonte, though.
I think Labonte saw that that car was beat up and didn't want to get behind him. So Robbie's going to slip up to the top lane, might fall quite a ways back.
Man made the top work. He cleared the 18 there. Telling you, Robbie Gordon is wishing he had better track position because that 31 is fast right now. 6 laps to go and a crash on the backstretch. This is going to be another caution, which might end the race. Yellow flag will come out here. This is the 99 of Jason Keller who just got turned. 5 to go. Believe that might conclude it. We'll see. Caution is out.
They may try to push this back green, but it may very well be over.
Incident involving the 28. Keller got into the 28 there, and that results in them crashing. And just goodness me, another incident between Roush and Yates.
It almost looked like Keller expected Martin to be closer to the wall, and then he kind of came off the wall.
He sure did,
and he just ran right into him. So Martin looked like he was trying to get out of the way, but was afraid that he was too close to the wall, so he moved down, and Keller just didn't expect it. Round he goes.
But just another incident between Roush and Yates. We've talked about them so much. So that brings out another caution, and one that I believe will end this race. We'll have a look-see here if it does. And the answer is, it will. So this will be it. 2 laps to go, coming to the white flag under yellow this time for Kurt Busch, who is absolutely loving his result here. He is going to take home a commanding win here tonight, and one that puts him right back in this championship hunt. But Robbie Gordon is the biggest winner of today. He'll finish 9th with Johnson down in the 20s, and potentially more coming for that 48 car after being taken out of this race. NASCAR called him to the hauler last week. We mentioned that, or at least a couple weeks ago, and again involved in another incident where he let the temper get the better of him, and that could be big trouble for that 48 team. But Robbie Gordon is going to take a commanding championship lead after tonight's race. White flag is in the air for Kurt Busch in the 01. And he will lead the field around one more parade lap to conclude what has been a wild Bristol race here tonight. His 4th
Kurt
win.
Busch just absolutely ecstatic because the speed's been there, and he has taken advantage of it to the fullest extent. And because of that, he could very well claw his way back into this thing. It's going to be a lot of work, but if there's anybody who can do it, as we said before, it would be that 01, and Chip Ganassi believes wholeheartedly in him. They're going to put everything behind him that they can to make sure he can try to chase these 2 title contenders out.
Absolutely. When Kurt Busch penned that contract a couple years ago to drive the 01 for Chip Ganassi, he said, "I'm signing this contract to go and win a championship." Tonight, he closes in 1 step closer to that goal. Kurt Busch, his 4th win of this season, and he will bring it home to the checkered flag here tonight. 2nd, it'll be Greg Biffle in the 16, and confusion here. I believe some of these guys might be running out of fuel. Not entirely sure what's going on here. Harvick dropping behind the 33. Not sure what is going on here, but Kurt Busch in the 01 will be your winner. Just another moment of chaos here. Bristol, once again, being such a wild card. And the 01 of Kurt Busch. Despite the chaos, it's a usual winner. His 4th win of this 2006 season. And Jimmy Johnson, tough break for him, falls right on out of that championship lead. And Robbie Gordon capitalizes well. He finishes in the 9th position here tonight. But that will do it here from Bristol. And we will see you next time. Race number 25 as we get set on the final third of this season. And we started off with a big one. It's the Mellow Yellow Southern 500 next week. But Kurt Busch, your winner here tonight. And just exactly when he needed to get hot, he got hot. But that'll do it for coverage here from Bristol as Kurt Busch takes home his 4th win of the season. On behalf of Nate in the booth with me tonight, 01 car is your winner. We'll take you to Darlington next week very, very soon. I'm Caden Reif. As always, a pleasure to have you along, and we will see you in the next one. And as always, have yourself a good one.
It's a long way to the top.